Well, what's the crack, everybody? How are you getting on? Welcome to another episode of the Tom O'Mahony Show. By Jesus Christ. It is Friday the 2nd of June, sweltering all over Ireland. I don't know where you're listening from, but we don't know what to do with it once it goes above 20 degrees. Once it goes above 17, we don't know what to be doing with ourselves. And that's where we're at right now. But look at, we're throwing out podcasts left, right and centre. There is a Ramble Pod every single week for the Patreons, of course. This just to remind the Patreons, and if you want to become one, we have a live show this weekend. I have a subject, and I'll be posting that this evening or tomorrow evening. And you will we'll natter about and have a drink, have a crack. So that's what you get for being a Patreon. You get these shows, you get the video of them, and you get the ad-free content, as well as live stuff, and you get the Ramble Pod, which is exclusive to Patreon. So there's loads of benefits to becoming a Patreon. Thank you all very, very much. My new tour is on sale in a load of places. Well, I say that's about 5 or 6 places so far. There'll be more added to it. So it's November for my new show, Take Enough, or Tick Enough, depending on what part of the country you're from. They're all there. Have a look at the show notes through that link. The link is the link to everything. It's the link to Tom Heaven, if that's what you're into. Go have a look for everything, including tickets to the Hill Comedy Club. There's about 12 of them left for Neil Delamere, which went on sale 3 days ago, and it's almost gone already. Who's coming at the end of the month? So go in, hit follow at the very least if you can't, because you'll see who'll be coming up as the months come ticking fast, because I'm going to probably put next month's up for sale in next week, because this will be gone before, I'd say, Sunday. If it's not, as I'm recording this, it might be gone now. Do you know what I mean? So if you are in the Care district and you fancy coming to see Neil Delamere at the end of the month, the 24th, buy a ticket. There's about 12 of them left. So again, the new tour, I'm going to Portlaoise, Cork, Belfast, Tipperary, Limerick. Jesus Christ. I'll be in Galway, but the tickets won't be on sale just yet. Anyway, very important, UCH in Limerick, November 22nd. I have to try and pack that in, because that's a big one. That's a big one. So if you are thinking of coming to my tour show, I'm confident enough with all the rest of the venues, but that one, she's a big one. So November 22nd, if you wouldn't mind, buy a ticket, come see the new show, and don't have me telling jokes to myself, which I don't mind doing. Anyway, hit subscribe if it's your very first time listening. We're out, there's rakes of them. There's like 200 and odd. There's 200 and something back there. 260 or 70 or something, and if you want to become a patron, we just hit episode 200 of the Ramble Pod the other night, so you have lots of audio to go listen to. There is, of course, the Tom and Jerry Show, which we are currently recording season 7 of. At the minute we're recording it, so that'll be out probably next month. We're going to bang out another, I think 7 episodes. I think we're going to do maybe 8 of the Tom and Jerry Show. Jesus, I'm just going to be annoying you at this stage if I tell you about any more podcasts. Have a look in the link in the show notes, and there's everything in there will direct you in the right direction. Right, moving on to today's guest. I ran into them, must be 3 or 4 weeks ago at this stage, in what is a lovely, lovely environment, which we wax lyrical about it, which I'm using way too much, about how good the Cocoa Club is and just how they're fostering and creating new talent and whatnot. And I was blown away by Ciara, and just how owled, if this is the correct word, mature, to spot the little sinews of the audience. Do you know what I mean? The sinews of the audience, and they just went the right way about doing it. And I was surprised then during the chat that they were saying, oh yeah, that's about 6 months. I went, oh, right, because that takes about 2 or 3 years to get good at. So there are good things on the horizon for Ciara Barnes. I had a bit of surprise at the end, which turns out to be absolutely fantastic, because Ciara said yes to opening for me in Collins in Cork on, I think it's November 10th. Yeah, November 10th. It is. Christ, I hope I got that right, because yeah, no, I did. I have it here in front of me. I haven't lost my mind completely. So this was absolutely joyous, because you could sense my bubbliness for the love of stand-up comedy, and it was shared by Ciara. So sit back and enjoy Ciara Barnes. Ciara, how I would, yeah. Who was calling you what's his name was calling you Sierra the other day, and then your Instagram page is Sierra, which I said, oh Jesus, are they American? I should say, because I had cousins who called themselves like there's two of them, and they both call themselves Ciara, and I'm kind of going, lads, tis Ciara, tis fucking Ciara, come on now.
Yeah, my name is Ciara. I go by Ciara, but when I was 11 or 10, I won a science quiz in school, and the people running it were Canadian, and I won, and they called my name out, and they said, Ciara Barnes, and like that's I get my name wrong a lot, but like to a bunch of 10-year-olds, like 70 10-year-olds, that's like it doesn't get funnier. Like that's peak. So people still to this day, people I haven't seen in what's got nearly 20 years will come up to me on nights out and be like, "Oh my God, Ciara Barnes!" Like, and this would have happened what 18 years ago. So I used to get made fun of. So I was like, oh, I'll just take that name and put it on my Instagram. And when I started doing comedy, I was like, well, that kind of makes sense. And now I'm back to just using my real name. But that's yeah, I've been going by that for a little
Because in
while.
fairness, there's nothing wrong with Ciara Barnes. Like that sounds like Jesus, you own a big law firm. Do you know that kind of, or you're very successful at something anyway. But Barnes as well, like to go to Barnes. I love that bit. Like there was no need in that.
I mean, I did win a science quiz when I was 10. I mean, so success was meant to
There's
come clearly.
nothing you can do with Tom O'Mahony. Although if you met a British person who tries to pronounce O'Mahony, there's quite a few things you can do, but none of it ends up good. It's oh God.
Yeah.
They
No, you get a skid off it, I'm sure. I'm sure you've gotten pretty brutal
I got
ones.
brought on in Shoreditch one night in London, and I got brought on to like your man had asked my name. He's I must saying it right. I said no, you're fucking before you even start, you're fucking saying it wrong. I'll write it phonetically for you. And I knew the guy for ages, and he'd heard it said a bunch of times, and I wrote it phonetically for him. I literally wrote Mahunny, like that's just like honey, like in the same way that Winnie the
Oh,
Pooh would have honey on the side of you. Because oh, I got it. And the chap who's on before me, he was an Asian chap, and man, he had the longest name, like it was like 14 syllables, and he nailed it. I said, "You get your fucking name right, you went." And your man was like, "Oh
oh,
yeah,
dang.
100%." Goes up and he brings me on as Tom Mahogany. I'm like, you fucking prick. Right. I
Tom
shouldered him off the
Mahogany.
fucking stage, forced the entire audience to say my name correctly 3 times. And it was just this moment where I went, nah, I'm not having that. Not having that. No, 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 no. You can say it. Just,
Wait, did you get
yeah,
the audience to say your name 3 times?
yeah,
Like in school when you get something wrong and you have to
yeah,
write it 3 times,
yeah.
like for
Well,
penance.
that's the beautiful thing
Amazing.
about London hipsters and whatnot, I found, is that they feel guilty about everything if they're in any way white at all. So as an Irish person, you can literally say whatever you want because you can just go tap the mic 800 years. You can literally, and they go, oh,
Yeah,
so sorry. I'm like, it didn't have anything to do with you, and I don't give a bollocks. But it was there is
yeah,
that free reign to go, and they'll just take it in a way no other audience will take it. Like you go up north, they're not going to take it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But in London, for some reason, they're just so
yeah,
apologetic. They're they're frightened to offend you.
yeah. I love London. I'm going over to London
Are you?
next week and the week after. Yeah, for gigs, and it's fun time. It's love. They're always
They're
lovely
always
crowds.
lovely crowds. And where are you gigging?
Yeah. I'm gigging. There's a gig in Brixton. First of all, I'm gigging in the Queer Comedy Club. It's this new club. It's the UK's first completely LGBTQ plus permanent
Permanent,
venue.
is
Like
it?
it's
Not just a
that's their
night.
venue. Yeah, not just a night. It's every Monday and every Thursday, I think. No, I think it's 3 days a week. I think it's like Monday, Sunday, or Saturday and Thursday or something like that. But I'm going over and doing the one on the Monday, and I'm dead excited for that because I only started up about a month and a
Right.
half ago, and it looks gorgeous. Everything I've seen from it, and so that's in Archway, and then I have a gig in Brixton with the Irish. I always forget their name. Irish culture
Oh
community.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Irish.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great.
Yeah. Um, and their class. I'm brutal now. I've forgotten
That's
the
how
full
rock
name of
star
them,
you've gone.
but
You're
they're
just
the
like,
Irish
ah, whatever. I'll just show up.
the Irish
I'll just
creative
show up. It'll be
community.
grand.
No, 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 no. Yeah, sure, no. the guy who runs this, Joe, he's amazing, and he I went over for a gig
Yeah,
in April, and he was like, "Oh, whenever you're back in London, like, let me know." And he was super sound, and everyone there was super lovely. It's the Irish
I think I
Creative
know the fella
Collective
you're on
is
about
the
too,
name of it.
Joe. Is he Irish? Yeah,
Joe,
or is he Irish? Yeah,
yeah, Joe O'Neill.
yes, because he was running something else before. He was sound out. I only briefly met him.
He's
Sound
so
out.
lovely,
Yeah.
super lovely guy.
But
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah. And the Irish Creative Collective are fantastic. So it's amazing. So
Evan,
going to gig with them.
Evan knows
They're
it's
great.
better than here anyway. Any Irish creative, ironically.
Yeah, I think because you get so many people who move to London and like, in Ireland, we're just like, oh yeah, we're in Ireland. And then you get to London, you're just like, yeah, my mum's a pack of crisps and my
Yeah,
dad's a pint of Guinness and yeah, from the Saints and Scholars Islands and stuff like that. So there's this big drive for Irish creative collective or Irish creatives just to get together,
class.
So it's always
We
lovely.
met for the first time properly. It was in Con's place, Coco Cup. He's like doing great stuff there. I've talked, waxed lyrical. I've used that phrase too many times in the last fortnight about things, but I waxed lyrical about it on my other podcast, the Patreon one, how it fills my heart because I fucking love stand up. Like, I fucking love this shit down to, as you may have noticed when you were
Yeah.
speaking to me, like, I fucking love it down to the punctuations, everything. And
Yeah.
what Con is doing is just, it's so cool. Like having the like see you a resident, and has he a couple of other, like, do people, because he was doing that like a year or two ago, and then the chaps move on. A couple of people moved on from being resident, I think. I know what's the name, James Surgeoner, all right. He's in and around the place all the time, but it's just class that to have, like, because I got afforded the exact same thing when I was starting up, but it was by pure luck. It wasn't a set in stone kind of thing, and it did me the power of good, the comfort of going on a stage
Yeah.
week on week, that you're really comfortable with, and you could just sharpen all
Yeah.
your knives. Like, it was brilliant, and you could see by the
Yeah.
TUI that night, it was like, your ducks to water. You know what I mean? It was like doing gigging at home nearly,
Yeah.
like, for you.
Oh man, I love the Coco. And yeah, like Con actually gave me my first gig back in 2019, and I did a few gigs, not very many back in 2019. I wasn't confident with anything I was saying, didn't like what I was writing, so I kind of stopped, and then the pandemic hit, and then I went back to it last December 2022. And like Con would have remembered me from a few years back, but I was kind of excited because I felt better with what I was doing and saying, and I was so excited for him to be able to show him at least that I had like improved or was a bit happier where I was. And for him to take me on as a resident was just like, oh, this is just like incredible. And it's such an amazing club. Like it's a really gorgeous club.
But it's
So
your
yeah,
enthusiasm and everything is actually, because that's one of the few places I'll get to early. Do you know what I mean? Because normally, and not that I rock up like a
yeah,
prick and just go hold my coat and watch this, you know. But it's,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
I wouldn't be overly stressed about getting there fierce early. But I always make it a
yeah,
point to get to Con's place early, because it's like, well, I'm going to meet people who are absolutely loving this shit too. Like, and there's going to be no cribbing about
yeah,
other comics. There's going to be no cribbing about fucking traffic. It's just going to be talking about, I don't give a shit if we're talking about what way to lay the chairs. I have a fucking buzz for laying chairs in a comedy club that, the same way ye all do. And it
yeah,
hasn't
yeah,
worn off for me 14 years later, but it has for a lot of people that I know. They're like, they're a bit fucking burnt from the road and stuff like that. Whereas I'm still going giddy. So when
yeah,
I meet the likes of you, who's still giddy about it, it brings me such joy. Do you know the kind of way?
yeah. We're all nerds in there. Like all of us are so excited, and I think we all also what makes it good is I think we're all kind of uh people. If you get me in terms of like we're excited for like
Yes.
audience members to come in. We're excited to meet people, to chat to people in the break or chat to people after or before, have a laugh. We're all mates. Yeah, at the end of the day, any art form or any industry shouldn't be about as you said, like politics really, like there's none of that. It's you just go in and have a laugh. It doesn't matter kind of who you are really. Like everyone's kind of welcome there, and we're all there to have fun, as well as obviously do the hard second work that goes into it. But we're there to also have a really good time, and I think that part of what makes the Coco so
That's what I
great, you
picked
know?
up was like that. You people is a good phrase for it, people because aside from even the audience members, like everybody seemed to be very happy to
Yeah,
really immerse themselves in everybody's sets, you know, that kind of way. Like like everybody was hanging
yeah,
on each other's words. I was like, yes, this is what a comedy club is supposed to be like. The comics down the back, even even when there's awkward bit might come, but it's a classic zinger from from the comic, and everybody else like, oh Jesus, you're loving it down
yeah,
the back because you're like, yeah, that's for us. That bit is for us.
yeah, yeah. Those little bits, like we all. What's great as well is we all want each other to do
Yes.
really well. Like there isn't any, I don't know what you call it. There's no. I've heard people in clubs all around the place or tropes. You know, in America, I think it can be common that you want someone else to
Oh
pass you to
yeah.
look better, which I think is it's so backwards. First of all, like no, if you want to be the best, you kind of you just try your best, do your best, and that's all you can do. Shouldn't want someone else to do badly. We all want each other to be as best as we can, and we always kind of help each other try and do that, you
There-
know?
Yeah,
So,
I don't know. I suppose maybe I just don't see it. Maybe I'm naive. I don't see it that much in stand up in Ireland, but I definitely like I gigged a bit in America and I did see it all right, you know, where but
yeah,
there's almost as just like everything fucking American. They overdo it to the point they fucking nearly ruin stand up. You know, you're like, Era, this is supposed to be good crack too, as well as being professional. Like where they're all, you know, hard doing notes, and then they get on stage and it's a pile of shite that flows out, and you're like, that was shit. Where 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 was all the
yeah.
fuck just grinding it out, man? You're like, how about you be funny? Be funny first.
Well, I think that's, I mean, just as you know, America in general is very grind
Mm,
mentality. You know, who's working the hardest? It's kind of dog eat dog just by nature, like in a lot of things. Like you see how business is done, and it's very like grind, grind, grind. And I think when you're put under pressure to succeed, um, that can dampen the creative process a
yeah,
little
yeah,
bit,
yeah.
I think. So I think I think sometimes that sort of, not militia, but just sort of, you kind of, if someone else does badly and you do better, um, I think it's sort of a little bit bred out of that. I need to do well. I need to do well because there are so many people who are doing the exact same thing as me and doing it just as hard, and you know, but I think maybe in Ireland, I think because we're a bit more easygoing and we're
Yeah,
kind of
because
friendlier and that sort of way.
it would
Not that
kill
American's
me to
friends
see
friendly, but yeah,
somebody dying, you know, dying on their whole, like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I saw it for the first time in a while a few weeks back, and he's a guy he's such a nice man, like, and I couldn't watch it. I swear to God, I couldn't watch it, and I watch anything, but Jesus Christ, I had to walk out of the room like, this is too much. I can't. No,
yeah,
no. And it was nothing. All the pump laughs
yeah,
like was doing at the back just weren't working. Whatever it was just oil met water on that particular occasion for him. Whatever it was, it just wasn't.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
he might have been a bit
yeah,
stage rusty too, that he didn't have the gear change. Where you point out the elephant in the room, and go, well, that wasn't fucking working. Right, let's try this. You know, he
yeah,
just plowed on, which is like,
yeah.
oh Jesus Christ, I'm sorry, I have to step out of the room. I fucking can't watch this.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to watch, and you know, it can just happen. It can just
Yeah,
be a night where that happens. It can be a bunch of different things, but yeah, it's hard to
it
watch.
was. I didn't. I was misinterpreting. I was probably listening to the minutia what you were talking about. Did you say you were were you raised in England, or how much time did you spend in England?
I, I was born
Right,
in England, didn't spend much time there. I was there until I was about
right.
4, and then we moved. my mum is Irish and my father is English. So my father stayed in England, and my two sisters who were born before me, I'm the youngest, they stayed in England with their mum. They're my half sisters. So I was very back and forth. Even when we moved to Ireland, I was still in England a few
Yeah.
times every year. Um, I still go over quite an awful lot. Like half my family are over there. So
And where are they based then?
Essex. I've yeah, I've my one of my sisters on the Hertfordshire Essex border, and then the rest of my family are Essex.
Yeah, I was going to say, because in my Irish head, I'm going, sure, handy for gigs stopping up in London. Of course it's not. Essex is a whole other county away. Like,
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah. I tend to stay in London city itself. I could like where I'm from is right beside Stansted Airport, so it would be easy. But like if you're there, if you're at a gig and then you have to get back to Essex at stupid
yeah,
o'clock in the morning, and it's costing you loads of money, and it's just easier to stay in
yeah, of
London.
course. Like, but I was like, what I was talking about on with you and your set, and it's rare I would come up to somebody and speak afterwards because let people do their own thing. But Jesus Christ, tonight, like, you had it, and the fact that you'd only started in 2019, a 2 year fucking layaway, and then back in 2022. So that technically is only about 6 months. Like, where did the comedy come from? Because you had the go of somebody who was at it a few years and had made fuck ups, actually. Do you know what I mean? To the point that you'd corrected yourself by the time I saw you. That was what was astounding me. Was like, what? What the fuck? Do you know what I mean? There was enough you were able to read the room enough. Like, was there fierce personalities at home or something like, or where was that built from? Like, because you don't pull that out of your hole, like, being able to spot, okay, there's fucking 20 English lads there. I'll placate them with this, and then I'm going to plow into my set. Like, what was have you any idea, or is it just because people often ask me, and I'm going, I don't know. So I know I'm asking you, and feel free to say, I don't fucking know, Tom.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I've been writing for like since I was a child. Like it was something I did every day, and it's something I still do. Whether it's you know direct jokes or whether it's just writing about my day or whatever. I've always loved storytelling. I love seeing. I kind of. It sounds so cliche when I say it, but whenever there's something that's kind of funny, it sticks in my brain. Like I try and see, not try and see, I just do kind of see the funny bits of day to day, and I suppose, uh, yeah, then that just builds up into a set, I
That takes
suppose.
that takes a good long while to develop that brain. Like, so I'm just wondering, like there must have been good crack personalities growing up for you to, or at least I suppose the writing side of things would force you to be more observant. Like, but to get that brain where you go, plant fucking gas. You know what I mean? And see it and break it down because that normally takes a year to 2 years, if not 3 years for and fucking no, never for some people. Like, but that's why I was shocked when you said area started back up in 2022. Fucking what? It was
I don't, I've always loved stand up, like since I was a child, and I don't know, it just sort of it was something that I was like, I love this so much, and the difference is that I'm not actually the one doing it. I'm not on the stage. Why? When you see something or you have such a vested interest in something, and it's like, well, why
yes.
aren't I doing it? Um, and yeah, I don't know. It's fun as well. Like I love playing with people. Like in my day to day, I'm a very social person, and I love having a laugh with people in general. So if I'm coming onto a stage, suddenly I have 50 people in front of me that I can have fun with, and there were a bunch of really fun English lads. Uh, and it just that particular instance came from that. I was like, oh,
Is
this is fun.
isn't that
So
interesting? Because
so that's
that's
sort of
very
that.
much how I approach it. Is that I love having crack with people, and now you've given me more people to have the crack
Yeah.
with. Whereas, and it's a great place to get your brain to, but because a lot of people come at it from almost, I won't say wrong because it's fucking up to you what you do, but a lot of people kind of come at it going, it's about me. I need to get through this and get this right for me to make me feel good. We're like, no, it's just all about all of us, really. The crack, and you can just be the conduit to crack. if you don't mind, because I know how
Yeah,
to bring the crack. Is that all right if I bring the crack? And everybody else paid to have the crack brought to them. You're the crack waiter. So I,
yeah,
when I tried to, I remember having this chat with Terry Alderton or Alderton, I should say, and
yeah,
it
yeah,
took
yeah,
him
yeah,
years for that to hit, years for that to hit before he realized, oh, it's about them. I'm here to make them laugh, not to get me through this moment and feel good
yeah,
about myself. Which is
yeah.
like, yeah, Jesus. And it took, he reckoned 20 years it took him to get to that point.
Terry Alderton
Oh
is
my God.
hilarious. I've seen him. I think I've seen him live twice, and it was when I saw him. This was about 2019, would 2018, 2019, I think, were the times I saw him, and it was very. He was picking out people in the crowd, and it wasn't like picking people out and making fun of them. It was picking people out so we could
Yeah.
all have a
Yeah.
laugh
Yeah.
together. And it's enabling crack. You're a crack enabler. Like that's what people are going to do. Suddenly, yeah, you're the one on stage and there are 50 people in front of you, but there are also there are 50 people in front of you and around them are 40
Yeah. Yeah.
behind
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that they can all have fun with. You're just the one like feeding, oxygen to a flame almost. And that's fun. That's a
I
lot of
did a
fun,
gig with him for RTE, and it was brilliant to watch it as comedians because it was a couple of the audience members that he kind of chose weren't getting it at all, at all, at all. Like, and that's why
Yeah.
we were at the back of the room,
Yeah.
just tears flowing down our face because he doesn't have to let off because it's Terry Alderton and he's that character on stage and
Yeah.
he's doing the bells,
Yeah.
the thing with the bells. He's like, he wants the bells.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the bells. He
Yeah.
wants the bells. Give him the bells. And there's this father and son who clearly look like they've just stood out of a tractor, and they're just sitting going, hot to
Oh
fuck is this thing?"
no.
And it's on YouTube. It was just look up Terry Alderton laughter in the air, and it cuts away to these guys just kind of going, "What?" And they're two big
Oh
oxes of blokes, like they're just father and son, just sitting going,
yeah.
"I've no
Yeah.
fucking idea what the." I love it. And he plows on regardless.
Oh, fair play to him. Fair play to him because I did a gig this a few weeks ago now, and it was in a venue that like my a lot of my material I'm like okay yeah there are going to be some people who this is not their vibe or they're not their immediate vibe, and I went in and I was talking about like gender and stuff like that, and there were just three lads, 18 years old, drinking Bulmers, staring at me like I had three heads and they were trying to figure out what was going on. And it's like they they're not having a good time here. I'm not having a good time here. I kind of I might have a bit more fun if either talk about something else or kind of get off stage. Um, because if I plowed through, I just don't think it would have gone very well for them or for us. But at the end of it, it was a fun time. But it's daunting looking at three people who are in the front when they do not know what's going
Yeah.
on.
Well, to be fair,
Um,
you what enamored me was that you had a fantastic charm in how, like, you 30, 20 or 30 middle age, whatever about the rest of the audience. I'm picking these boys out because they were in a group together, but they were like middle aged blokes. And then you brought up you had a brilliantly fucking crafted way of charming the story of gender. And these lads, you knew by them, they were 30 blokes over for a soccer game or something. It wasn't in their wheelhouse either. But yet you still managed to have a charming way of explaining this, having jokes throughout. And they're still going, fuck it, there's jokes. I'm on board. You know what I mean? And you could see it. They were like, what? At first,
yeah,
because they were like, I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. And then still finding jokes to laugh at throughout. So it's like, oh, fuck it. Fine then. If there's jokes, then that's fine by us.
I think it was Sarah Pascoe who says that the difference, like, because Sarah Pascoe, she talks about like often quite political things, and she says there has like base level at a comedy show there
Mm.
has to be jokes. You're either when you're up on stage you're either doing a comedy set or you're
Yeah.
doing a TED talk. And I came to do comedy. Um, so if I'm choosing whatever someone if I choose to talk about anything, it's gonna be funny. That's my job. That's what I've I'm there to do.
Yeah, not everybody
So,
gets that.
and
Not everybody
also,
gets that to get up there and just start barking at people like,
yeah, sometimes it's a fine line, especially if you're passionate about something as well. Then sometimes passion can be confused, um, in translation when
yeah,
you're
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
bring it to like a comedy stage, for example. Um, but yeah, I was like, there has to be jokes, and also I want to get up there and have a good time as well. It has to be stuff I enjoy talking about. But sometimes, like, I looked at the demographic and I was like, okay, I think this is firstly a number one. This is a big group of people and they all seem
Mm,
like a lot of fun. I think I can have a lot of fun here if I like have a little bond with them. Um, and then I can get into just the other stuff, the gender stuff that I usually talk about. And by that stage, I've made friendships with them, and they're not that I think that they wouldn't listen, but it's just like they're kind of going, oh, actually, yeah, we'll give this a bash. Let's see what's going on. And oh, class, there are jokes, fantastic. Oh, this is a great time. Um, instead of like plunging straight into it. But I'm missing that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. That's what I decided to do, and I had a fun time
but
doing it.
yeah,
So
because that's the thing. It doesn't matter if it's an obscure thing to the people in the audience. Because I remember the early doors, like bringing up how like I used to fight MMA fight, and this is kind of like 14, 15 years ago. I love the good old scrap, but trying to get that across the line to people were like, what the fuck is he talking about? So
yeah,
you had to find, well, what'll get me a leg in the door here, and then we'll go into the time.
yeah,
Most of the time I got almost strangled to death more than anything. Like, it was but again, it was too off the beaten track originally for just going right. Here we go. It's like, oh Jesus Christ, what is
yeah,
he on about? Like, but it's the same thing because
yeah,
you jumped into the football thing immediately. It was like, very good. Guy would have been fucked
yeah,
actually with that football thing because I would have been, I've nothing for you, lads. I've nothing for you. I don't. It's not my bag. Like, you know what I mean? It was, but I found it
yeah.
the wrong word. Yeah, charming and refreshing is the wrong word. Enamoring is what I went. That's how you fucking do it now. See that now, everybody. There should be more young comedians in here watching this. That's how you do it. You fucking,
That's very.
you rub their ears first and then go, now I have to tell you something. And there'll be a rake of jokes in it, right? But it may be a subject matter
Yeah,
that you have no idea about. But what was great was that it was a subject matter that I didn't know much about. Because you know what I mean? You don't meet many
mm,
non-binary people. Well, I certainly don't anyway. But I'm terribly interested in it because anything I don't know about,
mm,
you know what I mean? If I don't know how to drop an engine out of a car, I want to know about
yeah,
that too. So when you meet somebody who's a fucking
yeah,
expert on non-binary, it's it's incredibly
yeah.
interesting. I mean, like, do you find yourself going,
Mm.
"Great, I'll tell you all about it," or is it like, "Era, fucking read about it, time you'd be grand." Like, is that where do you stand on it? Like, because you seem passionate. Obviously, you are passionate. Like, but where is it something that you go, what the fuck have I to tell you about that for? It's hardly that interesting. Or is it something that you go, right, sit yourself down there? You know, I mean, you have jokes around it, which was
Mm.
tremendous. But is that where you leave it?
I think, well, first of all, I wouldn't consider myself like an expert on the gender. It's just the fact that this is my gender and I happen to experience life as this person, and it's really only my experience that I can talk about. Um, because I know people who have uh, PhDs in gender studies and are far more knowledgeable about all the nuances of gender. Um, but it's like there's a lot of like really horrible news constantly about people who are trans and non-binary and kind of basic is very very dark stuff that goes on, and I think it's a struggle for LGBTQ people because this is like our daily life, and it's hard, and there's a lot of darkness to it, and that's for cisgender people or people who are straight or um you know if they meet a trans or non-binary person or they get something wrong like pronouns or they get whatever wrong, they can feel almost like they're being jumped down their throat. uh, the people who are on the other end, so the trans and non-binary people, can often feel like these people don't
Yeah.
understand, and you get that sort of friction. And it really depends on the person to person. As someone who again just happens to be non-binary. This is my experience, and I'm quite a happy person in general. Um, and it's just something that I take great pride in, and that just comes on to stage. I think it's not my job to educate people about it. I think people need to do their own research. I get a lot of people coming up to me after sets going, "Oh, that was so great," blah blah blah, and then they misgender me, and I'm like, "Okay, were you listening
Fuck.
to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
set at all? Like if you're saying you learned a lot, but that's not I'm not their teacher." It's just something that I think there's so much beauty in it. Like there really is, and there's such a depth of things to talk about. Like if you're going on stage, you need stuff to talk about, and this is the stuff that goes on in my daily life, you know. And that's why that just happens to be what I talk about on stage. So, and it's also great because I don't really
I was
know
just gonna
many
say you
non-binary
fuck
people
all
either.
competition either.
I like there are Jesus, I think I know like maybe four maybe four trans and non-binary comedians. Uh, that's
Yeah,
it. That's in Ireland. I don't. I went over to. I did a non-binary and women run gig. There was one trans woman, and I was so excited. I went up. I was like, oh, I traveled for it. I was like, oh, I'm so excited to meet all these like if there are any other non-binary people there, and it was all women. And obviously, I love women, but I was like, I was really hoping to meet some more trans people or non-binary people, and there was one that I kind of half knew. She's lovely, really, really sound, and a brilliant comedian. Um, and I go over to that's one of the reasons I go over to London. I've been going over to London kind of once or twice a month now to do mostly
yeah.
queer gigs because I'm trying to meet as many queer comedians. And I'm acutely aware as well that the stuff I talk about and the demographic that I come from is quite niche. And I think I want to challenge myself as well. Like I want to see what other queer comics are doing. I don't want to just revel in the fact that I'm, I'm the only non-binary comedian in Cork. Like I want to know others, you know? So, um,
Yeah, I like
ah,
the only other person I know trans is Ali O'Rourke, and I had her on the podcast, and Ali was
yeah,
the only. I was like, you have it locked down. You have you have it locked down if you play your cards right. Like,
you've cornered the market. Yeah. She's fantastic as well. She's really
yeah,
wonderful
really, really
person.
sound. Like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
For some reason I keep on running into her, like in just random parts, like on the way to something, not gigs, but just like we'll run into her sometimes at a petrol station, just heading off. Oh yeah, me too. Right, okay, just but it intrigued, not intrigue. I'm using all the wrong enamor, I think was the word in how you went about it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, yes,
Yeah.
this, not say I'm pushing the spokesperson thing on you because it's still comedy at the end of the day, but it was like this for
Yeah.
jelly brain people who are full of pints. This is how, if for any, like, it was a great template for anybody who was trying to implement something. Like if you're coming from, I don't know, pig farming and you're trying to implement it into your set and you know it'll be too abstract for people. Like if I start talking about rural shit in London, the fuck? Do you know? But
Yeah.
my third visit there,
Yeah.
I was able to find a way. You know what I mean? Because you're like, oh, I get you
Yeah.
now. I get you now. Right, right, right. So
Yeah.
you need a bit of massaging first, and then we'll get into how we used to fight off the back of a tractor. Great, right? Let's get into it. You know, and you'll be ready for it then.
Yeah.
But it's a great template
Yeah.
that I saw. It was like nice. But how, and on a day like you were gigging, where were you gigging last night? Because I'm interested to see how much you're pushing, like how much gigging. Because I will be, because was it David was the chap's name that was there last night? Is it David?
David, who was
No,
gigging
sorry,
last
that
night or
when we
the
were gigging
when we
together.
were
Is
gigging?
it David his name? Yeah,
There's David
he
Horgan.
was
Yeah,
saying
yeah. He would be talking about like polyamory
yes,
and
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
again
That's David.
fucking learned about. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is nothing else. This is educational, fantastic. But he was saying that, yeah, he was saying there was a
Yeah.
bunch of gigs after opening up around Cork, which is fucking tremendous. Um,
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
I'll be absolutely haunting it because I've got a new show to build,
Yeah.
so I'll be showing up in all those places, just being, yeah, how's it going? Right, let's talk about
Amazing.
fucking, But
Yeah.
it just, if nothing else, for the enthusiasm that seems to be built around. If you could have comedy 7 nights a week in a not gigantic city, it's
Yeah.
that'll just
Yeah.
tell you where it's at.
It's brilliant. And like, yeah, the fact we have we have comedy 7 nights a week. If you wanted to do 7 gigs in a week, like it's possible. And um as well as that, it's like um they're not like small little gigs where you
Yeah,
have 3 people either. It's you go in there, and there are a lot of the comics that you see on the circus, and they're all in a good mood. I think the Cork comedy scene at the moment as well is particularly gorgeous. Like everyone, and like just to echo what I said earlier, like everyone's really supportive. Everyone wants each other to do well. Like there's no, when I say rivalry, you have rivalry in terms of just like, oh, I want to be great or whatever. It's everyone like pushing each other to do as well as possible. Like right now, like after this, I'm going down to the Comedy Bunker above on Spot Bean Fawn across O'Donoghue. He runs that, and Chris O'Leary is headlining, and Martin Ngolo I think is popping in for a bit. And there's a brilliant lineup. Yesterday, I was on in the Comedy Cavern in Collins with an unbelievable lineup. Thomas Lawrence and John James Toohey, they were
brilliant.
headlining, and they were fantastic. Then being resident in the Coco. I have Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm in the Coco, and then I do the Laugh Gaff, which is in the Liberty. It's an open mic, and that's always great fun. That's run by Adam Raymond, and it's fantastic. You have Crew Comedy and the Pav. They're run by the same lads, Jack Kirby and Ray Murphy. What else do you have?
There's more.
And then you have Reardon's. Graham Francis does Rebel Comedy. It's an open mic in Reardon's on Sundays. Um, and then you have Collins again. Like if there's someone doing a work in progress, or you do have other gigs, they could be on a Saturday, and just loads of gigs popping up the place. And it's fantastic, and everyone's
I love
welcome.
it. I'm going to annoy the shit out of you now with messages asking for those details of those people's names, because do you know what it does? I don't know if you have you gigged in Belfast.
Haven't yet.
We'll get
Really
that.
dying
Yeah, we'll
to.
get that hooked up. That is a gear change. I'll tell you something.
Nice.
Nothing in the world is happening like what's happening in Belfast right now. Nothing. For the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
There's no place can possibly, because they have a tiny population. They're not. They're probably about the size of Limerick.
Yeah.
Yet they have this incredible
Yeah.
amount of theaters and everything else around the city. But their thirst for fucking anything is incredible. That doesn't involve
Yeah.
fucking sectarian violence and all that kind of stuff. It is amazing to see
Yeah.
how like people fucking would wear merch from my podcast to a gig. And I don't, and if you imagine somebody down here doing, they'd no more fucking wear, like, especially somebody local to you. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like local, before your
Yeah.
neighbor could be your biggest fan, but they'd never fucking tell you down here. Up there, no shame. No shame.
Yeah.
Mate, think you're fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I thought the same thing. Thanks very much. But
Ah.
it's like every club, full. Every club, full to the fucking rafters. Any of the boys that are taking a rip at it, any of
Amazing.
them, anybody's taking a rip at it up there, you really dedicate yourself. Like you to sell the Ulster Hall, no biggie. What you're aiming for, probably a couple of years' time, SSC Arena. Arena. Colin Geddes is about to do his 6th sold out
Yeah.
fucking arena show. You're like, what the in a tiny
Amazing.
city, a fucking tiny place. And
Yeah.
again, another place when I get there super early. Now we go for food and stuff and we hang out. We break the shit out of each other. Like there's nobody's allowed to have their emotions at the table, like, because it's just ripping, ripping, ripping. But everybody gets to the
Yeah.
club unbelievably early. And notes and whatever, but you're just dicking about, fuck acting about, and then boom, right, let's hit the stage. And it is what I'm seeing now is the seedlings of what happened there maybe 9, 10 years ago happening now in Cork with the same vibe. people
Yeah.
wanting the other person to do well. There was a great buzz back and forth,
Yeah.
and it can only like you go all the way through it, and you're like, oh, and you end up at Chris Kent. You're like, yes, and one of the
Yeah.
soundest people you ever fucking meet. So from the
Yeah.
top to the bottom, I see it. I would hope, and I'd be very excited that it would turn into something like Belfast. My God, oh my God. But yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get you sorted up there, like, because there'll be a couple of clubs up there where you'll be like, you'll be like delicious,
Yeah.
like you come away almost spoiled a small bit because you're like, I'd say that's the greatest. I know more writing needed on that. That's perfect, grand, and then you, and it's not
Yeah.
like, but because you just get so much from
Yeah.
them. I don't know what it is, but they
Yeah.
just fucking love comedy, and it's just midweek, weekend doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. You'll get a crowd every fucking
Yeah.
night. So that's when you're
Yeah.
saying that about Cork. That's what's getting me excited. It's like, oh, could we have another Belfast? Jesus Christ! And again, they've only come on so like lads that I knew they were decent, but they've come on so strong because of that. Because there's a hint of competitiveness, obviously, but you need that with your friends. But
Yeah.
also there's
Yeah.
go on, go. I dare fucking say it. It's worth saying. Go on, say it. And then
Yeah.
when you're hanging around with other
Yeah.
comics, you're just gonna go and be a proper comic on stage. And if
Yeah. Yeah.
go on, sorry.
It's it's the what you're saying, like with your fellow comics, when you have them spurring you on, it really like, oh, it just makes all the difference because you basically run
Yeah,
up on stage like, oh, I'm excited. Oh, I'm excited
yeah,
for this.
literally. Like that's again because con puts me in a good mood anytime I walk. Immediate hug, like and all the rest. You're like, yeah,
Yeah.
fine, giddy up,
Yeah.
let's go. Because
Yeah.
there's a warmth already. You're like this. Everybody is on the same vibe. Like two people came up and before the show, and, like they were going, can he have a picture with, like it was like her child, it was her husband. Can he have a picture with you? I was like, Jesus Christ, of course, Christ Almighty, can I have a picture with G? Do you know,
Yeah.
like I'm Irish. Can I
Yeah.
can I do
Yeah.
away with this awkward moment, please, really quickly? And but they'd already bought tickets to Collins in November for my show. It's like, but you're
Amazing.
telling you that, and it's like, and they were so happy, and they were so happy to see all the other comics, and so you're like, oh, there wasn't there wasn't a cold heart in the room, if you know what I mean. It's like this is what pure art is supposed
Yeah.
to be like.
Yeah. Um. Oh, you have people at the end of every show coming up to you, um, shaking your hand or saying, well done, or telling you that they had a really great night or whatever. Like, you have a laugh with them afterwards. It's all a very great vibe. I hate using the
I
word
know,
vibe too much, but
I
that's what
know.
it is. It's just
It's a
lovely,
very
you know.
London thing to say, vibes, man. You know, we should
The
invent it.
vibes, yeah.
We
I
should
don't
get a
even
new word
understand.
for it. Maybe we'll find an Irish word. Do you know a nice Irishy word that would fit in for vibes? I think what would it be?
I don't know. I feel like air. There's a lovely air about the place, or something
Air,
like
yeah,
that.
and
It would be something very, very almost vague. Almost you wouldn't want to be too
I
certain
think a
about
whole
anything.
new word. Like I heard a word the other day that's an oldie worldy Irish word, and I hadn't heard it in like 15 or 20 years. My mother used it. And it's a word. It's a great word for having a sporadic notion to do something. So say you just went, "Ara fucking, I'm going painting the fucking house," and that's the end of it. It could be explained away with one word.
Yeah,
Ara, I got an old figary. It's like a figary. Isn't that a great word?
figary. Oh wow, haven't heard that
Yeah.
in a
Isn't that a
while.
great word? Figary.
Oh, that's fantastic word. Oh, I might start using that again. Again, as if I was using it when I was four. But I might start
Isn't
using
it?
that
Like
now.
it straight
I
away
haven't
went,
heard
oh,
that.
now more things. Because it's not like forcing an agenda on people, but people will get it. Most Irish people would get it. And the fun in explaining it to anybody else is like, well, this is what it means. And they'll admit, because it's a fun word to say, figary.
Yeah, yeah. Oh Jesus, yeah. Yeah, jeez, that deserves a bit of a comeback. That's great.
So vibes, we need to, right, so before the next time I see you, we'll try and come up and have a correct, more Irish word for vibes. Do you know so, oh, it's spare is 3 words. Like it's too much. But we need to find, I bet there is like an angelic word or like a fairy ridden word, do you know, something built into old Irish that gives you the atmosphere of a room or an area. I bet you there is.
Well, you know what? I've got 32 words for feels by Mankan
Oh,
Mangan staring at me
that
the
man would
other
have
side of
it.
the room. There's
He would
definitely
definitely have
something in
it.
there. Yeah, yeah,
Gee,
yeah. If there's someone who does, it's him. So we'll workshop it.
yeah, workshop. That's a fantastic word for it. Um, this has been absolutely tremendous. Thank you so much for coming on. I know I'm conscious that you're heading to a gig, and I love that notion that you're heading to a fucking gig immediately after this. My weekend gigs don't start till tomorrow night. So I'm like, this evening will be just relax. Well, I say that, but it's not going to be relaxing. What am I? No, I'm a maniac. I can't. This is if I wasn't doing this, I'd be doing some like I can't sit still. I'm the worst person ever to watch a television with. I can't. I
I can't sit still during any program, so you're not alone there.
Brilliant. Come here. What have you got a calendar in front of you by any chance? Can do you, a
I
gigs
do
calendar? A
actually.
gigs calendar. November 10th. What are you doing?
Yeah, there we are. Let's see. I don't think I am doing anything. My Bimini Bombulash
Love
calendar
it.
here. I think November 10th is pretty free, probably. I haven't really checked that far in
Well,
advance. What's
do you
happening
want to
November
open for
10th?
me in for my new show?
Yeah,
Collins.
where is it?
Where else? The most one of the most beautiful places.
I I would love that.
Tremendous.
I would love that.
Tremendous. I can't fucking wait. And we'll have a new word for vibes before then, an Irish word where it actually means, yeah, whether it's Moncon or whoever comes up with it.
Whatever that word is, that's what's gonna be the atmosphere of the night. We're
I
gonna
think
set
it's
that night. It's gonna be
we
the
may
first
end up
word.
having to do two because it looks like there's going to be a lot of people buying tickets. So, but either way, Collins is Collins, and I'm putting you in the book. Failing something else, well, you flick over the camera and
Amazing.
go, fuck. I mean, it's a very cool place in London or whatever. But other than that, we will get you hooked up with Belfast too. I say I will, and
Sick.
I'll message get us right now and see what way you're set up, and get you hooked up with a couple of gigs up there.
Sweet. Nice one, man. That'd be class.
Kira, this has been deadly. Deadly, not a good word either. We need we
Tom, this
need
has been
we need a
fucking
better word than
fantastic.
deadly too. More Irishy words because
Well,
we're trying to build an empire here in Munster of what they have in Ulster right now. Um,
well, I mean, I'm in Cork. I know you're up in Tip. In Cork, we say decent. I think
decent is
decent's
a
a pretty
great
good
word.
one for at least for
Yeah,
this
decent.
conversation.
Decent will do absolutely perfect. Right, till I see you again. I'm gonna pepper the hell out of you when it comes to people's gigs in Cork because I need to run this new show and
Totally okay. Totally good.
legend.
Fire away.
Where is do you want people to follow you? If you do,
People can follow me. People can follow me if they
there's
want
a
to.
great clip actually. If they don't, there's a great clip
There,
went up. Was it 2 days ago, 3 days ago of you and you was it in the Coco?
it was in the Coco. It was in the Coco. Yeah. That I didn't realize that was being I didn't realize that was put up, and my phone just started going
Brilliant,
mental. Hell, there were a few people who were. Someone commented, "God save the king." Very
brilliant.
strange one. So I have a wide spectrum of people who have now followed me, which is bananas. Um, but if people want to follow me, I'm just at Ciara Barnes on Instagram. That's where I am.
Sierra Barnes, aka Kira Barnes.
AKA real name
I
being
like
Ciara
Sierra
Barnes.
Barnes. I want to
There we
buy
are.
whatever you're selling. Sierra, if you're a property mogul,
I'm keeping. I mean, that's the brand, man. I'm trying to be a landlord out here because that's the popular thing at the moment. No, God, no. Yeah, but that's where I am. That's who I am. So
tremendous. Thank you very, very much.
thank you very, very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening, man.
And my thanks again to Kira, or should I say, Sierra Barnes. What a cool. I'm buying whatever Sierra Barnes is selling. Anyway, class. If you want to become a new Patreon, purely just to jump on the live show this weekend on Sunday, $3 here is all it costs. And you heard all the benefits: ad-free content, early access, video, and everything else, all that good stuff. New tour. Go have a look at the link in the bio. It'll show you everything you need to know about what I've just been talking about. As well as that, hit subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. If it is Spotify, of course, hit the bell so that it pops up in the old phone when these arrive out. Other than that, go on away, try and stay out of the sun. Don't be scalding the head off yourselves, because we're very Irish and we're not ready for it. But other than that, have a lovely weekend. Can I get blessings?